A very good evening and a warm welcome to Uctv. This is the weekend edition. My name is Nora Osende, and this is the very first weekend edition of the year 2025. We're privileged to have this time, actually, the gift of life, to spend it together as we give you some of the issues and we discuss some of the things that are making headlines in our country. Now, tonight we are starting off with a very significant topic, and that is the topic of the Jubilee Year. The Jubilee Year will actually set the pace for the Catholic Church. The Jubilee Year that just started in December will actually come to a conclusion that is next year in January. That's the January 6th of 2026. Now today in studio, I'm very privileged to have a very important guest who is going to discuss this with us, and that is Mr. Ndianabo. Mr. Ndianabo is the president of the Uganda National Catholic Council of the Lay Apostolate, or commonly known as UNCLA. Mr. Ndianabo, you're very welcome.
Thank you, Nora.
A very happy new year to you, sir.
Happy New Year too. Happy Jubilee Year.
Well, thank you. I'm so glad you're here to discuss with us about the Jubilee Year. It's so exciting, and we look forward to so many things to unfold in the year. We'll just start off by just give us a glimpse into what that means to you. What is the role of your office as the president of UNCLA in preparing the lay faithful for the significance of the events of this very year, 2025, as a Jubilee Year in the Catholic Church?
Thank you. You've used the good word, significant. A Jubilee Year is very significant in the church, in the Catholic Church. The ordinary Jubilee Year takes place after every 25 years. That's a long time.
Yes, it is.
So we take this very seriously. And as UNCLA, we will work with the rest of the church. The structures of the church, from the Uganda Episcopal Conference to the dioceses, to the parishes, to the small Christian communities, and to the families. Fortunately, we have those structures.
Yes.
So at the national level, we will be making pointers to the dioceses, to the apostolate movements, particularly in understanding the message in the Jubilee Year. The Jubilee Year was proclaimed in May last year. Maybe we didn't do much, we didn't do enough. There've been preparations, and now we are into the Jubilee Year. We have 1 year. A year can be a long time, but it is also a short time.
Yes.
But we will work with everyone to get the message, particularly the message of hope, the theme, Pilgrims of Hope. Yes. In the bull, when the Pope proclaimed the Jubilee Year, there's a whole very well written, it's so well written about hope. He goes very deep about that hope, the hope that comes from God himself.
Yes.
And this message will be taken to people throughout the country. We will use all the structures, and we will encourage people to participate. Everyone.
I think the message of hope comes at a very timely time. Like, it is a message that resonates with everyone, almost everyone, particularly here in Uganda. Tell us how that relates, especially to the lay apostolate, especially in Uganda right now. How will they resonate to the message of hope being the theme of the Jubilee Year?
Hope represents, as the Pope puts it, the desire, but also the expectation for good things to come. So imagine without hope, you would be dead.
Yes.
Now, this world, I am yet to see somebody who says they have no challenges. So with all the challenges in life, this is a message that is so central to human living. And we need to take time and see, how do we get this message to be lived? Not just talking about it, talking about hope. We can talk about the virtues of faith, of hope, of charity, of love. But how do we break it down into acts, into the things that people live? So it is so significant. Everyone needs this message of hope.
Surely everyone needs this message of hope. And the Jubilee is, I think, I should say, is just on point when it comes to the theme, Pilgrims of Hope. I think that leads me to my other question, which is really that the Jubilee emphasizes things to do with repentance and forgiveness and pilgrimage. How do you plan to encourage the values among the lay apostolate, the Catholics, especially those that need to travel like to pilgrimages in different places?
Thank you. Of course, the central theme of a jubilee year, of a holy year,
Yes.
is repentance. The coming, the bringing, getting our closeness to God. But in this message, there is also closeness, establishing a closer relationship, not only with God, but with one another. And the Pope says, with the rest of creation.
Right.
So that is a central theme. Now you're bringing in the issue of the pilgrimages. Yes, a central part of the Jubilee year is the pilgrimages, particularly pilgrimages to the Vatican and Rome, where the holy doors are located, but also to pilgrimages throughout the world.
Yes.
The particular churches, the bishops, have also designated other places, including the cathedrals, the cathedral doors. These are significant places for people, so that it is not, the Jubilee is not for the privileged few who can afford to travel to Rome, but also for almost all of us. So there will be messages. We will continue to have messages. Different dioceses have already even, for example, put in place, worked with tourist organizations to put in place packages, all this. So the messages will go across to individuals, to groups. Sometimes, many times it's better when you like make a pilgrimage as a group, but there will also be times when you need to be alone. Make your pilgrimage either by car or air or on foot, and make that pilgrimage and reflect on your life.
And sometimes those are one of the most profound pilgrimages that sometimes one takes out to go alone and just have that reflection and just connect with God in a different way. It is a privilege, really, that we, at this point in time, actually have the privilege to be a part of the Jubilee year. Like you earlier on said, that the Jubilee year is significant. It comes once in 25 years. And it's a blessing for us to actually be in this season, actually, as we celebrate the Jubilee year. It's something that we do not want to only feel like it is within the walls of the church. How do you plan on keeping that spirit burning, not just within the walls of the church, but also till the person down there, the local lay person out of the church? How do you plan on keeping the spirit burning even way after the Jubilee is ended?
Yes, and that is significant, and that's part of it. The Jubilee should bring that spirit of forgiveness,
Right.
that spirit of getting close to God. And along the way, we expect that we will adopt some of those habits, if I use the word.
Yes.
And those habits will live with us for a long time. For example, if we've preached and demonstrated hope,
Yes.
for the whole year, and there will be significant discussions about this. We will use all the media that is available. The Catholic Church has media. We will use social media. We will use the structures to get the message across to practically everyone. And once that is done for a period of 1 year, it will not leave anyone unchanged. And it goes beyond the walls of the church. as I said earlier, the Pope calls us, it's not even for just us, the Catholics, it's not only us, the Christians, it is for the whole of humanity. The effects of the Jubilee year will go beyond the discussions in the church.
Right.
It will go towards resolving world conflicts. It will go towards all those acts of mercy that will touch everyone. So beyond the Jubilee year, the things that will have been preached and acted upon, particularly for young people, particularly for everyone who would have been touched. Imagine the acts of mercy towards you when you are sick, when you are in prison, when you are in difficult circumstances. Imagine that. That will remain for a very long time.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And I like the way you have put it, because you have put it in a way that is very moving. And so the way you've stated it, it's not a plan of just now, but the impact should last in someone's life a lifetime. And this year should actually be profound in someone's life, that it will change their life and change their behaviors. Will be some of the things that they will learn will be embedded in their spirit. And I just can't help but think about, what are some of the initiatives or the programs that you feel will be placed in place, or that you plan to put in place to see all this through?
Yes, we will be encouraging different groups, and there will be many. There will be a whole workout of things. For example, think of like a school making some plays on the pilgrims of hope. The elements of hope. We will talk about hope and hope, what it means, that expectation, that desire, and explain how the hope that comes from God himself.
Right.
Jesus' passion and resurrection brought this hope. No one will take it away from us. And there are very many people who you see are kind of losing hope. So it's the time that we'll talk about this, and the kinds of acts will be, I've mentioned, like schools. You want it to go to small Christian communities, that in their discussions, in their meeting, there will be a discussion about not only the Jubilee year, but a lot of emphasis on the concept of hope, being pilgrims of hope. And you see, the concept of pilgrimage resonates well with what we know we are now living, of the synod on synodality. We are a synodal church journeying together. So not you alone, but with the others. And now pilgrims journeying together, pilgrims of hope. So we will encourage people, small Christian communities, in their small groups, in parishes, their apostolate movements. The message will go to every group. We assume, and we would like to encourage, that every Catholic, beyond going to church on Sunday, they should belong to some group. Belong to a youth group, to a women group, a lay apostolate movement, charismatic renewal, Legion of Mary, YCS, the men's guild, the women's guild. Belong to something. And in all those, this year, not once, not twice, we must have programs. Come to your pastors, work with the pastors, the priests, and all other leaders, and talk about what this means, so that we all have not a moment, but moments of reflection. Everyone who can, and most of us can, should make a pilgrimage. Those who can, make the pilgrimage to Rome, to the Holy Doors. But even if you can't make it to Rome, there are sites that have been designated by the bishops in dioceses. Make that pilgrimage. Pope Francis even encourages foot pilgrimage, where you reflect more on the simplicity on the effort of making that pilgrimage. There is more effort in walking than in taking a plane or a car.
Exactly.
So that silence, you walk in silence, and do not just be, oh, you are going to Jinja, oh, okay, I have some 1 hour, let me pass by Namugongo and make my pilgrimage. No, let it be deliberate. Think about it and make all the preparations, the physical and the spiritual. Go ready for a prayerful encounter with God.
Very nice. The central message here is hope, and I feel like the message of hope really comes at the time that is really needed. You earlier on said if somebody doesn't have hope, then that person is dead. So many people have committed suicide over the years, and the one reason is like they lacked hope. And so this message is very profound, and how you put it in regards to the pilgrimages, I think it is something that will actually move for many generations to come. My question is, do we have any known pilgrimages that have been organized already, that are going to be organized, let's say, at a grand scale, nationally or regionally in this regard?
What has been organized is that a number of dioceses have worked with service providers, with tourist groups. Some have named them, they've given contacts, and these ones are putting together pilgrimages on periods. They will say from this date to this date, this is what it costs. Those have already come out, and more will come. Remember, there are also themes in Rome. There are days for specific groups. There will be armed forces, the youth, the catechists, the women. So those kinds of themes, because when you go to Rome at that time, there will be special talks, special papal audiences. So sometimes it will be important to make your pilgrimage coincide with that. And the groups that are organizing, the ones that have already known how to organize, are already putting those packages together. Some are already out. Some will be at the diocesan level, some will be at the national level. Some people as individuals will approach these tour organizations that have already the experience of doing these pilgrimages. Because Rome will be a bit congested.
Yes.
I have seen estimates of about 35 million pilgrims descending to Rome in this year, based on past experience. And Rome has been cleaned, lots of renovations. So it's a time to be there. So there are those groups, and I advise that if you want to do it alone, you may not get the full benefit. It's better that you join these groups that have been together, but there is already available mechanisms and groups that have put together packages, and more can be put up if you are in a group.
Okay. Yeah. Let's go a little bit about this.
But that's just for the pilgrimages to Rome. But the pilgrimages to the local sites also need to be organized, and those are easier to organize. Yes. You only need to have a group and say we are going to Munyonyo. You need to have a group and say we are going to this cathedral or the other cathedral.
Okay. I think it would be really nice for everyone out there to certainly make a pilgrimage. If you haven't been making these pilgrimages, really, there are so many local pilgrimage sites in Uganda. This year would be just the right time to do it. And we're excited for all these other days that are coming, especially the Uganda Martyrs Day that is going to be celebrated in June. I hope that will be one of those days that will actually help to complement
it will be one of those. Let me say something that maybe I shouldn't have said, but June 3rd will be very congested.
Yes.
Yes, we should go to Namugongo on June 3rd to honor the martyrs and to make our pilgrimage. I would like to encourage people to find another time. It will be more meaningful, because the crowding of Namugongo, it's gone to a level where sometimes you don't get the best of it. So my suggestion to people watching and listening to us is that if you can, find another time and find some quiet and go to Namgongo, and of course the other sites. But Namgongo on June 3rd gets a bit overcrowded. You may miss some of the benefits of a quiet, prayerful mood.
Oh, yeah. You may not exactly get the most out of it.
Yes.
So you are actually encouraging people not just to wait for the 3rd June celebration,
yes,
but go to these sites of pilgrimages and just have that personal encounter.
Yes.
That is actually a very, very nice way of doing it or looking at it. You earlier on talked about a lot of things when it comes to what is going to be done and the structures that have been set in order for this Jubilee year basically not just to stay within the church, within the confines of the walls of the church, but to impact even the people down there with the message of hope. And I want you to just get a little more into the details of making sure that everyone is included. How is that going to be possible? How are we making it possible for everyone to try to be included in this year, really?
The Pope has urged that we try and include as many people as possible. So this is the desire of the Holy Father. Even if he didn't, this is not for a few privileged people.
Right.
It is for the entire church, for the entire world, for entire humanity. Now, the beauty with the modern times is there is very good communication that reaches everyone. And it's been simplified that there are pilgrimage sites across the entire world in the different dioceses. But pilgrimages are not the only acts of hope. There are very many elements that have been designated, like acts of mercy. Acts of mercy towards people in difficult situations. Acts of mercy towards the elderly. Acts of mercy towards children. Acts of mercy towards the sick, either in hospital or in their homes. Visiting prisoners, as the popes normally talked about migrants. You may assume we don't have migrants. We have refugees in this country. So all those, there is no one who is too poor to give. And of course, there is nobody who is too rich to receive. So all these are available to us to participate in this Jubilee year. So we are called upon. I am sure the message will go to everyone. And my request is that whenever you get the message, please pass it on. Particularly if you are in leadership, please use the structures that we have in the church and get the message to go down up to the families, small Christian communities, then the families. And everyone receiving the message, they're urged to do something. You may not change the world. You or me, we may not change the world.
Yes.
But you can change a world of someone. And when we do acts of mercy, I am personally begging, don't throw coins at a beggar on the street and say, I have done my charity. Make something significant.
Right.
Make something, define, say, I would like to help this person, and go out and help that person. Throwing 1,000 shillings, even 10,000 shillings, or even handing it over to a beggar on the street, that's okay. But that's not what I think we should be doing. We should be looking for something significant. The word that should run throughout the year is the word significant. Make something significant for a person that will change that person's life. And all that is available for all of us. You may say, I don't have a lot of money to build a house for a homeless person. But when you visit a lonely old woman and spend time with her, chat with her, that brings hope to that person.
Right.
Let her know that there is hope beyond being alone and lonely and maybe frail and sickly. bring hope to that person by even just visiting her, visiting him, talking to them, show them love. How do you value love? It's more than some of these 1,000, 10,000 shillings we throw to people. Show this love. This will be an act that will give you indulgences. Of course, when you fulfill the other requirements for indulgences.
Right. I feel like you're already into my other question that I was going to ask. But one thing that I'm hearing here when you talked about being, pilgrims of hope, I see us actually bringing hope and not in the place of receiving. And because sometimes when you feel like pilgrims of hope, it is a very profound message. But if you haven't understood it so well, you may be on the other side waiting, and yet we are actually the pilgrims of hope. And you have explained it in a very profound way. And how do we keep that going as
in
pilgrims?
ourselves?
Yes.
As pilgrims, the Jubilee year is a year of reflection. You see, there are doors. The concept of doors, whether they are the holy doors in Rome or the other doors that will be that have been opened, is a door is a way either into or you are exiting. When I entered the studios, there's that expectation. I am leaving a different world and going into a different world.
Exactly.
When I go out, I will be going into the outer world. Not completely unknown, I know where I will be going, but along the way I will meet other things. Now, use that moment of reflection of where you are stepping into. Think about your life. Think about the central message of hope. And as I said earlier, the expectation, but also the desire for good things ahead. And well written in the bull, the Pope starts with the letter of St. Paul to the Romans, and he's talking about hope. It's all over the Bible about hope. So it's not just hope that I will give you. No, it's the hope that comes from God Himself, from Jesus, the incarnation, the passion, and the resurrection. He gives us that hope, and the hope of things to come.
Yes.
So, whereas I'm encouraging people to do acts of mercy to the others, you yourself, you cannot give something that you don't have. I cannot go to a group of youth and start preaching to them about hope when I don't have hope myself. You begin with yourself, you reflect on your life, you do all your forgivenesses. If I can spend a bit of time about the concept of forgiveness, you will never have peace if you have not forgiven people. You won't, never. It doesn't happen. You can do research, you can reflect on your own life. You only have peace, the inner peace, when you have forgiven. Somebody gave us a great example, Nelson Mandela. Nelson Mandela was imprisoned for over 20 years. I took a privilege sometime many years ago. I went to Cape Town and I used that time to visit the Robben Island where they were imprisoned. And we were taken around by somebody who had been in prison together with the Mandelas. The suffering they were taken through, the very harsh conditions. The food was so measured. We still saw the menu. The menu had stages. If you are white, this is what you take. If you are colored, that's what you take. When you are black, you take the lowest amount. Very harsh conditions. They would be mining lime in very cold weather without shirts. Now, after 20 years, you'd expect that Mandela would be very bitter. But he said that if I do not forgive the people who did this to us, I will still be in prison. he didn't mean the physical prison. He meant his entire being would still be in prison. In fact, one time he uses the expression and he says, when you don't forgive your enemy, it's like you are drinking poison and expecting your enemy to die. So it eats on you. So one of the things, you will see that a lot, the concept of forgiveness. When you forgive others, you live at peace. And it is that peace that will give you greater hope.
Well, that is something very profound indeed. And it's a message that everyone needs to hear or get reminded of every now and then, really. Very nice. I just need to also understand that, you know, the youth are like the central in the church, really. And how are you planning on including the youth in the celebrations of the Jubilee year?
Yes, indeed. The youth in a country like Uganda, first of all, the significance of their numbers, but also the fact that at this time of their life, they are more discerning compared to the older people.
Right.
So we need to take advantage of the fact that they are still fragile, but also take advantage of their energy. They will have more energy than the older persons. Now, how do we involve them? Fortunately, the youth are very well organized in this country. They have their arrangements from the national up to the lowest levels, but they need to be accompanied. They have chaplains, but also they are part of for us, they are part of the latest structures. When you go to a parish, there will be the youth apostolate, but there will be the diocesan day apostolate. So the messages we have, the real messages, will be tailored. The idea is we will be encouraging our people at all levels to tailor special messages of hope. You know, children or young people, you imagine somebody is out of school, they have no job. So the message is not the same as for somebody who is in thriving business. Even that one needs the message of hope, but the message to this one is different. You need to get that kind of mindset. We've been talking to the youth wherever possible.
Yes.
It is to give them that message of the concept of the mindset that they are created in God's image and that God has given us almost unlimited abilities. And it is when we know that we can, in other words, when we have hope, that will actually change our lives. Instead of waiting for others and saying, oh, you know, who bewitched me? I am not able to get a job because I don't know people. I cannot make money because my father is poor. No. That determination from the individual, once somebody's inside is fired up, his outside, his physical being will not stand still. And we need to get that message across to all the youth. And we will use all the platforms possible within the Jubilee year and beyond.
Very nice. UCTV is one of those platforms, and I'm glad that you're actually here. And these messages will basically go straight to the youth, really. What message do you have for families out there for this extraordinary year, Jubilee year 2025? Give a message to the families out there, really.
One of the acts, I think, one of the signs of hope given in the bull from the Pope is responsible parenthood. Now, the family is the domestic church. That's how it's been described. So the church starts from the family. It is the parents who will nurture children, particularly from the time when they are very young. Right. So the first message is to the parents that teach the children the ways of hope. Give them hope. When you tell a child you are good for nothing, you've killed that person. You need to let children know the beauty of the world, the splendor of God's creation, Let them know about their abilities. Somebody may struggle with mathematics a bit, but let them know that there are other things they can do. Right. Encourage them. Start from there. Let them know God from when they are young. The message must permeate every person. And the parents have a very special responsibility, not only for this pilgrimage of hope, this jubilee, but as responsible parents. And so parenting, responsible parenting, is one of the elements, one of the signs recorded in the bull of indiction by the Pope when he made the declaration in May last year. But for the family, this is the domestic church. Once the families are settled, then the world will be at peace.
Very nice. Once the families are settled, then the world will be at peace. That is very profound. Before we close off, Mr. Ndianabo, just give us your final reflections about, to the Catholics out there, not just to the Catholics out there, not just to the Christians out there, but about the Jubilee year. And your reflections should basically include everyone, because you earlier on told us that it is not limited to only Catholics or Christians, but to everyone out there.
My hope, we have to continue talking about hope.
Yes.
My hope.
Yes.
And we said hope is both a desire and expectation. So my desire and expectation is that we will work together, first as a church, but the message will rub off everyone else. The message of hope. And we will use the Jubilee year, this holy year that has already started, to come closer to God. For us as individuals, come close to God, come close to fellow men. And fellow men means everyone, both Catholics, Christians, and everyone. And also be at peace with the environment, with the whole of God's creation. And this message, we will all work together. Whoever gets a message, there's so much literature. Those who can, please read and see what it is. And everyone, without exception, everyone should participate. Even if you have no ability to move and make a pilgrimage. A pilgrimage is not the only act for this Jubilee year. The acts of mercy, we've talked about them. Even if you're in prison, you can do something for a fellow prisoner. So all of us should participate in making sure that we reflect on our life, giving ourselves hope and giving it to others. And we didn't talk more about indulgences, but there will be more programs where we can talk more. The Vatican has put together even a decree on the indulgences. And one of the things that I shouldn't forget to say is that you can actually get indulgences for yourself, but also for souls in purgatory. Thank you.
Well, thank you so much, Mr. Ndianabo. It has been such a pleasure having you. And it has been very insightful. We look forward to many more discussions like this.
Welcome. Thank you.
Well, thank you so much, really, for staying with us as we discuss and get more insights about the Jubilee year 2025. Well, Mr. Ndianabo's message has set the pace for this year, and I hope we can all be pilgrims of hope, actually. Let us be hope to someone else out there, as we also anticipate and also wait to receive the goodness of hope. It has been nice really having you, and we look forward to staying with you all through 2025. My name is Nora Osende. Do have yourself a lovely evening and a good week ahead. Good night.